listening to Xposed Living, Be Ageless, the podcast where we drop the masks, flip the script, and talk real life, real love, and real leadership unfiltered. I'm Stacey Van Thune, coach, speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of the Xposed Living movement that's redefining what it means to live, lead, and grow at any age. We talk identity, reinvention, belief, and freedom from the bedroom to the boardroom. Yes, we go there. This is not about staying young. This is about waking up. So if you're done with the shoulds and craving more fun, more freedom, more truth, more you, then grab your favorite drink, your bestie, maybe your journal. It's time. Let's get exposed.
Welcome back to Xposed Living, Be Ageless, the show where we strip away the bullshit, crack open the real stories, and have candid conversations that count. Today, we're talking about one of the most valuable currencies we all have. Any guesses? That's right, time. Because let's be real, Gen X, we've been hustling for decades. We built careers, we've raised families, we've checked the boxes, and yet somehow our calendars manage to always be maxed out and we're running on fumes. That's why I'm excited to share and bring to you today my guest, my friend, a fellow podcaster, Angelina Rivera. Angelina is not just a time management coach. She has very many hats that she wears. This is why this woman is a powerhouse. I'm telling you, she is a podcast host, a coach, a consultant. She works with leadership in manufacturing and a supply chain. We talk change management a lot because her, like myself, have her black belt. And the founder, she is of Refine Consulting. She also hosts, as I mentioned, the Refine and Shine podcast, where she helps professionals reclaim their time, refocus their energy, and refine their path. So let's get exposed, let's get uncovered, and let's dive into a conversation that's going to challenge you on how you see time. I know this is going to inspire you to rewrite your routines and push you towards action, because this isn't about adding more to your plate. It's about creating more life in your days. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm super excited about our conversation.
Me too. I'm excited to have you on the other side of the microphone.
Yes. It's going to be interesting.
You know, I love this because we were talking earlier and you said, Stacey, I'm used to asking the questions, not always answering it. This pushed me outside of my comfort zone. And you know what I think is when we're asking people to manage time differently, or as a person that is looking at managing time different, it requires us to get uncomfortable.
Yep, sure does.
Can you lean into that and just kind of share with us about time and how you've continued to push yourself outside of your comfort zone?
Well, I think it's so important that, like, when we're little, when we're young, we have like a schedule, right? Like, we're put into grade school, elementary school, whatever. We have structure, we have a bedtime, we have we get up in the morning, we have like a whole routine. And that's how we're raised, right? Even in school, like, we have our recess, we know when our lunch is and all these things. And then once we become adults, we're like, screw this. Nobody's going to tell me what to do, right? I'm going to do whatever I want. And then the thing is that we get complacent. We just go with the flow and all these things. And then by the end of the week, we have all these things we wanted to get done and we don't get anything done because we're not managing our time. And while the older that we get, it's like, wait, hold on. If we're not managing our time now, we're just going to, the days are going to go faster and faster. And then one day we're going to have our end time, right? We're gone. And do we want to look back at our lives when we're in our, heaven or whatever we believe in, and I had all these things, but I never took the time to focus on it. And so that's where the time comes in, when we don't go and schedule what we're going to do. And I'm not saying that every minute of the day has to be, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But if we want to be successful and we want to make sure that we are accomplishing the things that God has put on our heart, or our higher power has put on our heart, we have to start working towards those goals and we have to start scheduling them in. High performers schedule their time. And if we want to be a high performer, we need to schedule those things. What are the 3 things we can get done each day? Just 3 things. It doesn't have to be, every hour of our day has to be accountable. But we also, what I always love to have people do is do a time audit. Just kind of follow, a tracker and write down everything that you're doing from the morning, the time you wake up, to the end, till you go to sleep. Every single thing, in half-hour increments. It's a free resource I provide, but do your time audit. And then as you'll see, like day 1, then you go to day 2, day 3, you can quickly see where your time is going. It may be that you're picking up your phone too much. In fact, on average, people pick up their phone 96 times a day. So if you're going to pick up your phone, what is your intention behind it? What are you going to use for it? Like, are you just picking it up just to start to, because you don't want to work on what's in front of you and you just want to be distracted? You want to procrastinate. And when we do things like that, what we're just doing is putting off, putting off, putting off. And then we get the anxious and the anxiety. And then we can't go to sleep at night because we're worried about all these other things that we're supposed to do because we didn't get things done. So just kind of have some kind of control over, like, taking that deep, your vices away, because we always have something that we want to depend on. We want to like buffer, so to speak. And so that's one of the things I think is really important, is just like look at your day and how you're spending it, is really important. Go ahead.
I have a question in there. Yeah, it's so good, right? I want, like, let's go full in and dive in. You said something around a lot of people don't have time for what God may have put on their heart or their want. Do you ever think that it's because they haven't acknowledged what they truly want?
Yeah.
And so, like, I found in my own life, so let's all be honest here, I am not the most effective person with my time usage. I've been somebody that has been like kind of okay with being late, and I run on a little bit of a late schedule. And then I think it is because of that you start to think, oh, I'm a procrastinator, I am, and we start labeling ourselves. So then we again shy away from doing the hard, because Stacey, that means you have to have a calendar. And I'm like, what? Like, where's my freedom then? But it wasn't until I had clarity and certainty of what it is that I wanted that I started to do that hard that was for me, scheduling it in my calendar.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. In fact, that's one of the things I do when we do my time management. One of my foundation programs is we get some clarity on it. Like we do our time audits, and then we do some clarity. And it's like, what do you really want for yourself? What do you want to see yourself in 3 months, 9 months, like all of these things. And I just like, what are you spending your time on that maybe is distracting you from it? Like a good example is my podcast. When I started my podcast, I said I wanted to start it in, I think it was 2023. I didn't start it until 2024 because I had to get clear on what was my vision. Like I totally changed what I really wanted to do at the beginning, because I wanted to sit with it. I wanted to be clear. I wanted to make sure that I had the time, that if I was going to commit myself to something, that I was going to go all in. Like I'm going to make sure that I have my weekly releases, that I'm going to have time to schedule the interviews and do all of these things. It took me really leaving a job, leaving a job, working 12 to 16-hour days, 6 days a week, to changing to another job, just to say, okay, now God gave me this job. Now I'm going to really use the additional time I have to set up on something that I really want, which was like setting up the podcast. And then when you want these things, like what if maybe I want something and I'm not really good at it? Or so what is the things that we can delegate? And we kind of work through those things. Like if I am putting off managing my website or creating my website because I'm not really good at that, can I delegate that to somebody who can? Yeah. Because sometimes we pay for subscriptions for things, or we pay for all these services and we just let them sit there. Like how when I looked at the cost, I was paying, I don't even remember. It was like maybe $700 I had been paying on a website that I wasn't even using really. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, wait, why am I not using it? Okay, I'm not clear on it. Can I hire somebody to do that for me instead of just paying and wasting stuff away? And so sometimes maybe you're not the best person at it. And what is your time worth? If you're not an expert at updating a website, hire that out and then work on the things that God has created you to work on.
It's so interesting because this is a show for Gen X by Gen X. And I think that goes to sometimes a belief that we have that if I'm not doing it myself, or if I haven't earned a certain amount of money, then I can't hire it out. Not really even recognizing that by not doing that is actually limiting me and where I'm going and what I really truly can do, because then I can leverage out the stuff that I'm not good at or not really interested in, and really focus on what is truly on my heart.
So good. That is so true. Like like raising my children, I had some guilt for a long time that I wasn't always preparing their meals all the time, that I was outside the home working long days and all these things. But what I knew and what I did is when my kids needed help with their homework, I was that person. I may have not been the mom that made dinner every night. I may have not had the cleanest house, but I was there to help my kids with their homework. I went to their field trips. I made time for the things that I felt that they really needed and wanted. And I made time for that. And so those are the things you have to sit with it. You don't have to do it all. And we live with that. Like sometimes, and we, have that guilt or feel like we're a failure if we didn't do every single thing for our child, like, or the things that maybe we wanted as kids. I actually started having my kids help with dinner at the age of 8. 8 years old. My son was learning how to make macaroni and cheese because he needed to learn fractions and I needed to do 2 birds with 1 stone. And that's how we did it. And when he got good at it, like he started to learn, I'm like, well, you're not going to get good at it overnight. So you're going to have to practice. And we started doing that stuff, like having our kids help with stuff like that, having our kids help with laundry and all these things. Because if you have a team to help you, it makes things go a lot better. And you're also teaching them those responsibilities, like making sure that they can do their own laundry. They know how to shop, have a budget, go to the grocery store, plan out meals, things like that. I think is so important. And I may have not done all the things right as a mom, but I know that I instilled those things in my kids to make them be successful adults. And I think that that's so important.
You say something, I may have not done everything right as mom. I think, again, a limiting or opportunity that we have as Gen X women is that, our parents didn't necessarily have the same types of responsibilities that we have. Life was different, right? Mm-hmm. And, my girls will say that to me sometimes. They're like, Mom, you don't even make us supper all the time like Grandma does. Grandma's here to do it when she's here. And it's like, just because we haven't done those types of things doesn't make us any less of a mom. And so it is like a lot of with our usage of time is changing the paradigm, changing the beliefs that are actually driving the activities that we're prioritizing. It's almost like, do you ever find that people almost use being busy as like a badge of honor? Like, it's like, oh, really? I can't do that. I'm busy. How about you? I'm busy. Like, name a person that's not freaking busy.
And that's so right. Like people are like, I'm busy. Okay, what are you really busy on? Are you really busy? Are you buffering? And that's the thing too. Like when I would tell my kids, hey, I'm busy doing this, I would tell them I'm busy working on this, but could you help me with that? Or I got to do this. And like, I would explain to them, and probably sometimes in too much detail, but I wanted them to understand that in order for us to have what we had, I had to work. I had to do all of these different things outside the home. I went to school to get my, my degree. When I was going through my black belt, that was super intense. And so that was a lot of studying, and so I actually, in order to make my time work for that and not take away more from my family, I would go to bed at like maybe 10 o'clock at night. I would set my alarm at 4 a.m. in the morning and I would work until they got up. I like from 4, like on the weekends, I'd work from, studying, doing the, routine, the material, all of that stuff, because you have that test you have to do. You have all these things you have to do. I would go from 4 to 8 a.m. I was working on that. That way I wasn't taken away from them. And also because I knew that this was focused, and I also didn't want to get distracted. I didn't want to get distracted trying to like sitting there on the computer or studying and doing all these other things, and feel like I was taking time away from them. But when my daughter, during the pandemic, and she needed to study for whatever she was studying, she went to high school full time, and then she went to college at the same time. When I had to study or do something, we would go to a coffee shop like we were in a class, or like we were on a coffee date, and we would rent out a booth and sit there and focus on our studies, like whatever we were doing, just to make sure that we were focused on what we had to do. We weren't distracted by the TV, the laundry that had to be done, the dishes that had to be done, the dogs that had to be taken care of, or the husband that needed something. Like that's how we did it. And if you really want to be focused and you have these goals, you just got to look at, what am I doing? How can I make it work? And it may be sitting in a coffee shop and doing your homework that way, or studying or working on whatever you need to work on, so that you're not distracted or buffering from everything else that can distract you.
Yeah, so good. And you mentioned about like the person picked up the phone 96% of the time. And there's lots of people, and I'm not averse to this, so I say this with love because I know I've been there, is that we don't even realize how much time is being spent there, or picking it up the first thing that we do and instantly going and allowing our outside, what's happening on the outside, determine how our day goes, or, it's all of a sudden I have this intention to do something else comes up. I'm not focused on keeping that intention. And before you know it, freaking time's gone by, or it's impacted my mood that now I don't want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. You and I have stayed in a hotel together when we went to a conference together. We were roomies, and you like, I did not take up my phone. Like I don't keep pick it up in the morning. I leave it. I shut it off at a certain time. I put it on do not disturb. I put it in a certain, like, my phone is programmed to shut down, because what happens is the first thing we do when we pick up our phone is we're giving, even if we're in bed, we're giving everybody else, like, we're like our time. We're in bed with them, so to speak. When we're on social media, we're doing all these things. We're not even allowing ourselves to get that, to do some grounding work and to just like spend time in our, our thoughts, or, priming ourselves for the day. And then we're right before we go to bed, we're looking at social media, we're looking at the comparisons and all the other things that we could be thinking about. We're not letting our brain shut down. And that's really important. I also think that it's like when you're in the shower or you're getting ready for your day, like, don't think about the work that you have to do or the emails that you have to send. Just take a shower. Just take a shower.
Presence.
Present. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like, I'm curious because you've coined, and as your flagship program around the SHINE principles, as you call it, that are show up, habits, intentionality, never give up, and everyday wins. And I'm curious, in your experience, which of those do you find people struggle with the most, and how do you help them break through?
Every day celebrate your wins. Because what people look at, they want to say, like, okay, let's take Michael Jordan, for example. He didn't become a basketball player, like a professional basketball player, overnight. Like, it took multiple attempts to, throwing free throws, shooting the baskets over and over and over and over again, having those good habits that he understood that every time he missed, it's okay, because he was making that habit of, he was not failing. He was practicing over and over and over again. Right. What we want to see is, like, what other people would think is, like, okay, it's not until you win a championship that you're a success, or all of these other things. But, in reality, I may not ever be a 1% podcaster, but every time I get a download, I celebrate that, because that means that somebody has listened to it. Somebody has taken the time out of their day to listen to it. Or the same thing, like with graduating college or whatever. It took me a long time, but every time I finished a course or every time I got a paperback, I celebrated, and I showed my kids that, I had a goal, and I'm going to celebrate everything that I did. If I turned in an assignment, I celebrated it. Like, there's just all these things, because if we just look back and say, oh, I didn't, like we talked earlier, I'm doing my end of the year accomplishments for work. When I start to, like, look back, and I kept track every week, I keep track of what I did. And when I go back and look at everything that I've done for the whole year, I'm like, I did some pretty cool stuff, Yeah. And you need that. Even when you journal, like, you should, like, I write down every day what I'm grateful for. What was some things I won? Like, did I go and, interview a guest today on my podcast? Or did I do, submit a bid for a project? Like, whatever I did, I did it. Like, I said I was going to do something, and I did it. Maybe it didn't get, I didn't get the contract, or I didn't get this or that, but I did it. I put myself out there, and that is better than not doing anything at all.
Yeah, so good. Honestly, I love that you mentioned the everyday wins, because I think so often we downgrade the impact we have and look at other people as, like, so magnificent, right? And something that's helped me a lot with that is, like, the law of relativity, that nothing is big or small. It just is, and so I find with trauma, right? With people are like, I'm like, well, I haven't been abused. I haven't had these addictions. Like, how could have I had trauma? And yet any disruption to our nervous system is basically a sign of trauma. And so it's like, we compare these things, whether around the trauma that we've experienced, the wins that we have, or, and I love what you do, because it really goes into somebody of, like, listen, the only person you need to worry about satisfying is yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think so many of us, when we get past that 40 age, kind of go, I don't give a shit what other people think. But yet, here we are packing up our calendar with things that don't even give us fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Exactly. Because we want validation. We want to
Yeah.
seek validation. Like, okay, if I make this coffee date with this person, or if I do this, then I seem busy, I seem productive, I seem like I matter. It's all of these things. And I can relate to you that and when you say like the trauma, and like I have had a little bit of trauma in my life, but one of the things that I think is so important and that I didn't talk about for a long time was that I came from poverty. And I mean, when I'm telling you I came from poverty, I was born at home. I was came out in the newspaper, Saturday Night Live. So I made headlines when I was born because I was meant for something. No,
Yeah,
I
you
really
are.
did. I really did make headlines. But what was I didn't tell people that story. And when I like we go back to the kids and I worked hard, I did all these things, and I never really explained to my kids until late, like I don't even my just tell recently of how hard my life was growing up. And I'm not telling that my mom went with that. Like we were government cheese, we were government, like all of these things. And I became a six-figure income earner on my own. Like not talking about my husband's income. My husband's disabled. Not just all on my own. Like I went from there, and I'm like, that is something to be proud of. And you should tell
Yes.
people of that, because it's not to brag. It's to show resilience. It's to show that you can be born in the poorest neighborhood of your town and become a six-figure income earner. Like that's something to be proud of. And I didn't really talk about that. And then that once I started talking to people, I found that so many people were like, we would never would have known that and I'm not like I don't wear fancy things or all these other things, but it's like it's it's just to show that no matter where you come from, you don't doesn't mean you have to stay there. And I think that that's what's important. And people don't see, like you said earlier, people don't see the growth that can happen, the growth that can happen over time and every day working towards something. And I think that that's so important. There was another thing that you said too that just made me think of something, and it was, what was it? It was so good, and I can't even remember. It was like a thought that you said, and I was like, or something you said. Um, what people think of is, like you said, the comparison, and they don't understand the struggles that you've been through. And maybe you didn't have trauma, maybe the listeners out there didn't have really things, but there are beliefs that you had as a kid that you grew up with, or maybe you didn't matter, or maybe your parents didn't spend so much time with you, and all of these other things. So then you become the yes person as an adult. Yes, I'll help you. Yes, I have. And you don't have boundaries anymore because you've always just wanted to be loved and liked. And that's another thing is like, when you're looking at your time, are you saying yes to the wrong things? Are you saying yes to things that aren't going to help you move the needle forward? And when you have these goals, and maybe you never really thought about what you want to do in life, spend some time and journal about it. What do I really want? What are the things that I've always dreamt about, but I was always too scared to say? You don't have to tell us, but you can tell your journal it. You can
Yeah.
write it down and journal. Maybe you want to be an author, or maybe you want to be on a podcast, or maybe you just want to do something, journal about it, get some clarity on that. And then what could you do to help move you forward to do that? I think is so important.
I love that. One of the standards that I work hard on, and again, so we're all work in progress,
Mm-hmm.
is though only accepting and rejecting ideas from my goal. So it helps me when it comes to time, because if it's not going to move the needle forward, then it's a no.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken me a long, like I always say, hi, Stacey Van Thune, recovering people pleaser. Like there's no doubt there's an element of many of us of Gen X who are recovering people pleasers and are still in that trap because we were raised that way. Like the more you help other people, but it's this reverse thing of like, you can't help and give to somebody that you don't give to yourself. So then this is why we're also so stressed and we're burnt out and we're doing these things, because we're trying to keep up with this impossible thing that's not filling our soul, because it was never ours to complete, if that makes sense. We do
It was never ours to carry. It was,
Yeah.
and we're pouring from an empty cup. And when we're
Yeah.
pouring from an empty cup, we're not giving anything to ourselves. And at the end of the day, it's us. Like it's not being selfish. It's you who you have to take care of. You looking in the mirror. You have to make sure that you are doing the things that you love, that bring you joy, that you are taking care of your health, that you are doing all the things that are going to make you feel loved. Because it doesn't matter that you've loved yourself when you look in the mirror. And that has been something that, I have struggled with a little bit. I had surgery earlier this year, and oh my goodness, the downtime that I had from it, and the weight gain and all of these other things, it was like, wow. And it took me a minute, and I'm like, I got to love myself. It doesn't matter. I may not like the weight that I have on me, but I love myself. And because I love myself, I'm going to go for that walk. Because I love myself, I'm going to make sure I'm filling my body with good things. Because I love myself, I'm going to just smile every time. I'm going to put on the earrings. Like, I'm going to love myself. And that is so important because we spend so much time that doesn't even the wasting time looking at everybody else in comparison and all these other things. And at the end of the day, it's not them that are with you. It's you. It's you and you. It's you in the mirror.
You and you. You know, it is almost that starting to feel sorry for ourselves, right? Like, and get trapped in this. Very few people would ever want to say that, like, I'm a victim of it, but we're acting then in victim if we're allowing that to stop us from taking the action that needs to be taken. Like, I think this is such an important conversation that you bring up around time and stuff, because you can't own your time until you take a complete responsibility of everything in your life. Mm-hmm. Right? And then decide, what is it that I want? Where am I? And if it's not moving me closer to the goal, then it's a no. And that, I mean, for me, what it had to be is that when I'm letting someone down or like not doing what I think they want me to do, that, like, am I not important enough, kind of going back to you, to be able to say it? And it doesn't mean that you have to say it in a rude way or that you're not being a good friend or not being a good mom by prioritizing what. But if you're not prioritizing the things that are important for you, what are you teaching then your kids, like you said?
Yeah. You're teaching them that they don't matter. Just like when they're adults, they're not going to matter themselves, that they have to do for everybody else and put themselves last. And that's not the case. You should be putting yourself first. The first thing that you schedule on your calendar when you start to work on your calendar, if you're not a calendar person, is where is the things that you're going to do, healthy habits for you. Where are you going to get your workouts? Are you going to, your meals, putting your, because sometimes if you don't schedule what to eat, you're a busy, productive person, or, you think you're busy, so busy you can't eat. You got to make sure you're filling your body correctly. But doing your walks, just even meditating, some time to do that gratitude in that journal, making sure that you do that in the morning and close your day with that. That's going to be a good thing. And, if we want to be the successful person, these are the things that you have to do. And, high performers plan out their day. They schedule some time for themselves. Yeah. It's not selfish. And then they put their family, schedule some time with their family and everything. And then you worry about the work stuff.
Yeah. Like, know your non-negotiables, yep. Put them in your calendar and schedule around it. I love this. So if a leader who's listening, I know we have a lot of leaders and executives listening to the show, could make one change tomorrow to create more space, productivity, and freedom for themselves and their team, what would you recommend for them?
Schedule their week.
Yeah.
Schedule their week, because not only schedule your week, but schedule your week schedule the next 14 days. And halfway through the week, look at the next is everything still aligned? It's so important. And if it's not aligned with what you need to do, or you find yourself overloaded, what can you push out? Maybe you reschedule some stuff. What can you delegate? Maybe you're not the one that has to do the groceries. You don't have to be, as executives, you talked about it earlier, we want to try to do everything ourselves. I don't need to go in to do all the grocery shopping. That's what Instacart or DoorDash or all those other things can do. And I can focus on other things. And what can we delegate? What can we delete? And what can we maybe, like I said, reschedule? And then what is urgent? Like, what is something that only we can do? Like, only you can interview people for your podcast. Only I can interview people for my podcast. I can't. And that's the thing that God has called us to do. And I think that that's really important. It's just really scheduling your calendar and making sure that you're using, like the Eisenhower priority matrix to schedule your day, to schedule your priorities. And saying no is okay. Saying no to things is okay.
And no is a complete sentence.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
But now I have a question, because you just dropped something in there. You said the Eisenhower what?
Oh, the Eisenhower matrix. It's a priority matrix.
Okay.
It's basically how I describe it. It can go it's easy to do. It is, what is the things that you can do? You're the doer. Those are the priority. What are the things that you can decide to do later? What are the things that you can delete off your calendar? You don't need them. And what can you delegate? And we go more into that when I do, like when I work with the clarity and we go through the program that what I help coach people on, we go through a deep dive of all of those things.
So good. So good. Now, we could talk forever. We're going to be mindful of time. But before we go, I want to ask you my 5 ageless questions to close every episode. You good with that?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. What is one belief that you're done with?
That I don't matter.
What is one habit that you do every day that helps propel your success?
I walk. I move my body.
Yes, so good. What does living exposed mean to you?
Just saying what it is and not worrying. For me, it's like saying how it is and not being afraid, not holding back anymore. Because when we hold back, we're limiting ourselves. We're not being the real us.
Real us. I'm going to say, it'd be like, just be authentic. I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, I lost my authenticity. I don't know what it is. So like, I love what you said before was that writing and journaling those times just allow with no phone to be able to like reflect into that again. What is the real me without all the labels? Yeah. So good. What's one of your favorite books or quotes that have impacted you?
I have so many, but I would say that one of my, I would say it's a Bible verse right now that's been, it is be still and know that I am God. I believe that's exactly, I don't know if I've said it all the way through. Actually.
You got it?
Be still and know that I am God. Yeah. Psalms 46:10.
What does it mean to you?
Just be still in the moment and know that God's going to take care of things. If you would sit there and spend some time with him more than you're on your phone, your social media, all of those things, and ask him for advice or ask him to show you the guidance, he's going to lead you in the right direction. But you got to be still and know that what he's giving you is what is meant to be.
So good. Angelina, my last question. Tell me, what's one bold risk you're excited to take in this next season of your life?
Let's see. I've done a lot. So let's see. You know what? The bold thing I need to do is I need to get out there more. We talked about it before we started recording. I want to step outside the corporate world. And I need to get out there more and talk to people, talk to those business owners and say, hey, how can I make an impact on your business? How can I help you so that you're not staying up at night worrying about your time, your productivity, and all those things? I have 25 years of experience doing it for the corporate world. I need to go and help those business owners, small business owners, or those business owners who just don't even know that what they're capable of because nobody's talked to them about it.
So good. Angelina, if people want more of you in their lives and they want to reach out to you as a small business owner or just someone that's like curious how they can get time back into their life, how do they get a hold of you?
The easiest way, because it has all my links, is my website. It's www.angelinarivera.com.
That's right. And look in the show notes for the spelling of it. And I'm just so grateful for you for joining us today. I know everything you share is so relevant. I think we're in this time of people just getting so caught up in being busy. We're caught up in being busy of being busy. Mm-hmm. So it's such a powerful conversation. Thank you. And here's the thing. Time isn't just about calendars and checklists. It's about energy. As she mentions, about intention and the space we create to actually live. And Angelina reminded us that when we shift from control to clarity, from busyness to purpose, everything changes. So as every episode, we always have your action item too. So let me ask you, what's one thing you're going to take from today and put into action? Maybe it's planning your schedule before the night before. Maybe it's identifying what you truly want. Or what are those 3 top priorities that you want to do? Or what is that thing that simply doesn't serve you and you're doing anyways? Because here's the thing. This is what Xposed Living is all about. Not just hearing inspiring stories, but uncovering the truth that pushes us to live bolder. So Angelina, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us, your story. Reach out to Angelina, learn more about her Shine principles. I know that our listeners are walking away with tips that are going to really help them. Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of Xposed Living, Be Ageless. But this is just the beginning. If this episode made you feel something, share it. Tag me. Send it to a friend. Let's start the conversation we can be having all along. No shame, no guilt. Unfiltered, raw, real, Exposed. And if you're ready to go deeper, join us inside the Xposed Living Facebook community, where we take this work off the podcast and into real life. Know this, your change starts when your excuses die. Because this life, this one wild, ageless, unforgettable life is waiting on you. This is your time. This is your truth. This is Xposed Living.